What are you looking at right now? What is this?
I'm not one to always say that omens are a thing, but if this isn't an omen, I don't know what is.
Is it a sign from God? Is it a message from the universe? I believe it's a miracle in my cancer journey, and today you get to meet the woman who inspired it.
Every morning on TV, I share the broadcast news. 7 TV Emmys and 1 million online views. Then the doctor gave a bitter pill to swallow. This just in, it's cancer, no more script to follow. Sudden urgency, now I'm living wide awake. No more teleprompter, no more time to waste. From TV anchor to the headlines of my heart, it's sudden urgency, a brand new start.
Hey, it's Sudden Urgency, what you can learn from my cancer journey. I'm Chris, along with the divine Kimberly Jonas, who, of course, is giving me the bird. Giving me the bird today. We'll explain later, right?
Yes.
What the meaning of that bird video is, because it's incredible.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it strikes to my belief, the heart of my belief, which is that even in something as shitty as cancer, or as depressing or profound as cancer, you can find a miracle. And you can find blessings, and you can find, I think, proof of God in something like cancer. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely agree.
You really do?
100%.
You've worked, and we'll explain in a minute, but you work with a lot of people going through mortality issues, life-threatening illnesses. Have you seen miracles in this kind of situation?
Regularly, consistently. Depends on what you define a miracle as, but I see them all the time.
Isn't it odd to you, though? Because you think about, like when I got the cancer diagnosis, I saw it as a horrible, horrible thing. It's not necessarily to be seen that way.
No, but it makes sense that we might start there, and then we find the resources to shift our perspective and our experience.
Well, I like this one. I actually love her. And here's the thing. We talk about finding miracles, sacred things, even in cancer. Here's one for you. I actually have known Kimberly for like 36 years. Or 37. We met in college. And I have the photo. Here we are at 19. Looking good, huh?
You are.
Oh, yeah. You haven't aged a bit. I look like a raisin. I look like a piece of leather. What's happened to me? Here's the thing. I thought back then that I was going to marry you. I was convinced. All these years later, of course, that didn't work out, thankfully. But you're my partner in a much, I think, or at least equally profound way. Kimberly's been my advocate since the diagnosis first came down, a lifeline. And I want to thank you for that. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know if I could have made it without you. And so when I'm talking about what you can learn from my journey, I want to start with, Kimberly, what it means to have an advocate when you get a diagnosis like cancer.
Well, it means a lot of things. The first thing that comes to mind is that cancer, when you get a diagnosis, as you know, it can be so shocking. And I don't think I've ever had a client or friend who has had a diagnosis where the first experience isn't fear.
Right.
Just all this kind of unspecific fear, and that can cloud the brain, it can cloud the heart, it just clouds the whole
You
situation.
can't listen to what a doctor's trying to tell you if you're literally, your brain is racing. Am I going to die? What's happening? I didn't expect this. You're not really thinking straight, are you?
Right. So to have, again, advocate can mean all sorts of things, but for you and I, it has meant everything from sitting in the doctor's appointments, but it's also about helping someone working with this diagnosis, to see different perspectives, to open to what else is possible beyond the fear.
100%. And so my piece of advice, and I think this might go for any big life thing, even beyond cancer, get yourself somebody in your corner who can be your advocate, because down the line, and it maybe not your husband or your wife, because they're in the middle of this too.
Right.
Kimberly was just removed enough that she was listening closely. I took her to every doctor's appointment, and she listened to what the doctors were saying and asked tough questions and speak on my behalf when I couldn't.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's all about, don't you think?
It is. And I would just, for your listeners, would qualify that a little bit, because I'm in the field of healer assistant. That's what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a little bit of an extra element and dimension that I have, but it doesn't mean that your close friend can't be your eyes and ears.
Right.
The person who hears the thing that you missed because your heart was in your throat kind of feeling.
How many times would be on the phone? Now, did the doctor say? I couldn't remember. She was there. And I want to get now to the next point, because you kind of referred to this a little bit. Not only get yourself an advocate, but the idea of like broadening out the approach a little, because Kimberly is an intuitive, a healer who's really helped me in that area as well. Kind of exploring what some might call unconventional or non-Western approaches to treatments, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might call them what's just not less obvious, right?
I like that.
They get
less obvious.
Right. They get called unconventional, I think, because they're just lesser known, or
And a Western doctor is never going to mention these things
Right.
to you. So if you have an advocate or a friend or somebody like Kimberly who can say, okay, that's great. We're going to do chemo. We're going to do immunotherapy and
right.
something
and
else.
by the way, there's acupuncture, there's energy work, there's doing something fun with your friends just to keep your chemistry elevated, right? There are all those things that you can do. Yeah.
It's amazing to me because we've talked very briefly about the silos of like, you've got oncology, Western medicine, then you've got, the Eastern, you've got meditation, you've got prayer, and none of these practices really work together very well, do they?
Well, I would back up
Communicate
a little bit.
with each other.
Yes, right. Because in the Western world, especially the medical world, it's very common. You go to a specialist. The specialist hasn't talked to your primary care doctor. This is very normal in that world.
Right.
In what you're calling the Eastern realms, but I would say cultures where it's more of an integrative approach, it's actually quite natural to say, go see the herbalist for this.
Right.
Go see the shaman for that. Go
Right.
see grandma, the grandmothers for that. That's pretty normal in other cultures.
And it's another way having somebody in your corner, making your team a little bigger can help you out because they can navigate you to, and again, I'm a big fan of Western medicine. I've had chemo and immunotherapy, but there's more out there. And my suggestion is you get somebody who can help you navigate that, which gets me to kind of the last thing I want to talk about with you, because you've experienced it with me and many, many clients you've worked with who have cancer, right?
Yes.
Is it common for you to do this?
Well, it's been a part of my practice. Absolutely. All types of cancer. Yeah.
The idea that when you get the diagnosis, like I got a better welcome from my HOA. At least the HOA gave you a handbook.
Yeah.
When you get a diagnosis, I wanted to read the statistic because it came down from the National Institutes of Health that 56%, up to 56% of cancer patients feel confused, uninformed, or excluded at the moment of diagnosis. There is no, I didn't feel safe place to land. And that's one of my concerns is that when you get the diagnosis, you're supported.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I'm not going to say that the Western medical community can't do that, but my experiencing in witnessing my clients and you is that it's not the first thing, because they want to come at you with the solutions that
Right.
they can provide, right?
Bingo.
So that statistic is actually kind of devastating.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But not surprising to me because like we always joke, my doctor said, okay, just drink plenty of fluids
Right.
and I'll see you for your surgery in a couple months. And I'm like, okay. You get to make the table bigger. And that's why I think an advocate too, someone who's in your corner can help sort of make that soft space to land. And I got, I went to an acupuncturist. I went to a therapist to try to get a broader bunch of support.
Yeah. And one thing I would add, Chris, before we go, is that it can be such a scary step to do even that, right? You're scared. You've got a diagnosis you may not want the world to know about, like you didn't for quite some time.
Right.
So taking that first step is pretty vulnerable.
Mm.
So I guess what I want to say to your listeners is consider that a huge step for yourself, that's to be able to take that move towards somebody who can really mitigate the fear and the isolation is maybe one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Yeah. And I don't mean this as a diss on my oncologist or my medical team, but I don't think they're not there necessarily to support you. They're there to keep you alive.
Right.
And they're going to do that well, but there's more to, I hate weird to say, there's more to life than just living. It has to be lived well and fully. And speaking of, we started this whole conversation about, can you find a miracle in cancer? Can you be grateful in some way? Could I even one day be grateful for cancer in what it's taught me? And this gets back to the bird. The bird. And just to explain it very quickly, I had decided to go to you for some supportive treatments beyond my oncologist, some healing work, some intuitive work. The very first session, and I was a little like, oh, is this really going to work? I don't know. The very first session, we walked out of the office together, and this mourning dove, well, you see for yourself, landed on your shoulder. And again, and again. And I mean, it kept coming back, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I'll never forget it because it took off from the sidewalk and I ducked thinking it was just going to fly over. This was a fledgling. It was a baby and it landed right here on my shoulder. And then it started walking across my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And Chris and I were talking about the whole time about what is happening here. Let's listen for what's happening here. And it's been a pretty deep conversation for a long time.
Yeah.
But yes, to get back to your point, that was miracle number one in a string of many.
I see it as like an acknowledgement from the divine or from Creator or God that, hey, you're on the right path. Mm-hmm. I'm here with you. It was like, I'm here with you. What was your takeaway from it?
My feeling was that it was about taking flight. And birds are so much to me represent not being grounded by something, held down. So I felt the lightness of that and the message of you being lifted up through this process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was.
How often do you say, hey, cancer's awesome?
Haven't heard that one.
No, but the experience can be. Yeah. It can be. I want to tell all of you too, Kimberly's got a great practice. She's been my friend, you saw, since we were 19, but she's got a great practice. And if people want to learn more, because you also write some great stories. In fact, you wrote a whole story about the bird.
I did.
What's the best way for folks to learn more about you and kind of follow what you're up to?
Best thing is to go to my website, KimberlyJonas.com.
Yeah.
And we'll put it in the notes and we can put that article and people can find me there. And Chris is a living example of how this work translates through a cancer body.
Absolutely. Yeah. Find yourself somebody that you love who can advocate for you and be willing to at least keep an eye out for the miracles and the beautiful things that can come with even a diagnosis of cancer. I love you.
I love you too.